Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the Porsche 924, and I'm proud to announce that this is now fully MOT'd, legal to drive, insured and all that, and is now my daily driver. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit less painful than with the Citroën CX. The Citroën CX ended up being really nice, but it had a really rough couple of first weeks after the MOT. I have a feeling it won't be the same on this, and it could be dangerous just saying that, but this is really a German car and it just feels really solid, to be honest. At least it's driving pretty well, and it went through the MOT with absolutely no faults at all. That is not normally the case with my cars. There's always something, but everything was just fine. The brakes were perfect. The pollution was really low. Everything was just fine. So yeah, it's my daily, but there's a lot of stuff that I want to do before I really start driving it. I am driving it already, but I would like to put the door cards on because they are still missing. I would like to fit some of the interior trim, and also, if as some of you might remember, there was an oil elbow, a little plastic elbow on the camshaft that was cracked. That could lead to premature wear out of the camshaft because of lack of lubrication. A good friend of the channel actually sent me a new one, not a new one, a used one, but in way better condition than mine. But I would also like to see if I can polish this paint, because I have a feeling that it could get pretty nice and shiny again. But firstly, I will change that cam oiling system. I also need to paint this panel because paint has chipped off. This is the original color of the Porsche, by the way, but I need to paint that again. I did paint some parts of this wing. I actually made a dent there. I didn't show that on video, but I fixed it. And I also painted it down here. And as you can see, the color is way more rich. And firstly, I thought that the color match was just bad. But then I tried to polish just a little bit on the pop-up light, just right there. And as you can see, that color seems to match that color pretty nice. So I think it will be pretty good if I can polish it up all over the place. And then I will just paint the entire panel right here, so I can get the Porsche badge back on, of course. But let's do something about that camshaft oiling system. And even though I just mentioned that I think it will be a decent, reliable driver from the get-go, I am already finding issues that I didn't know about. For instance, and it wasn't an MOT fail because it's not obvious, at least, but whenever I come to a stop, when applying the brakes, I mean, to a stop and then start to accelerate, I get a little bit of a clunk from what I think is the rear end. Maybe it's worn CV joints or loose CV joints. It's maybe something else. It's just a little bit, and it's only in the change between forced stopping and forced speeding up. It won't happen if I just coast to a halt and then start to accelerate again. But it will happen if I brake and then accelerate. There we go. I also think I have an oil leak, and someone told me about that I would get one because I didn't put any seal in at these edges where the paper gasket meets the rubber ones. And actually I knew about that, but I knew that I was going in here again, so I didn't want to do it before that. I think I have a small leak from there. There we go. There we go. And this is the problematic thing. Right there. I don't know if you can see it. There is a crack. Just a small hairline crack. So this was still working, but the pressure would most likely be slightly lower. But this I will just change for another unit, because a good friend of the channel sent me this. He owned a lot of Volkswagen LTs, so this is from an LT. It's actually not completely the same though, because this one got 3 points of attaching, and the other one only has 2. So I'm just gonna see if I can take the elbow off really gently, and if not, I'm just gonna use the one with 2 of them. But let's just see. Don't want to just crack it. Ah, that was easy. No problem. No problem. Now I'm going to take the cracked one off. That was also easy. And I'm going to save the cracked one because if I find someone nearby who does 3D modeling or printing, then they can maybe make this. So I have some spares. That would be nice. Like this. Nice. There we go. And I will just apply a little bit of sealer in the joints right here between the paper gasket and the rubber gasket. Not a lot, but just in between them. Because that's a point that it will probably leak. There we go. Now it won't. Next up, I want to do something about the missing door cards, because they are not missing, they are actually in the stash of parts. But before I fit it, I want to do something about this in here, because as you can see, there is plastic all over the place, but it's torn and ripped. And the problem is that this plastic is supposed to keep the door card and the inside of the car out of the moisture, because there will be water in here, or at least moisture. So I need to put something back on. I'm just going to take this off and then put a sheet of plastic over top of it all, and then cut the holes that are needed for the electric stuff and so on, and then fit that. There we go. And then I'm gonna put some wrap glue or plastic glue. This is meant to glue plastic onto stuff. Probably not a lot of Porsches that gets this kind of treatment, but it is Seaside Garage. And I have cut a piece of plastic bag that I normally use for trash, and now it's going to be a part of my Porsche. Woo! I love it. And then cut there for that locking thing. There we go, and then cut so I can get those connectors out. There we go, and there is also a connector for the speaker. There is no speaker though, but I would like to fit one at one point, so I'm just gonna get the wires for it. There we go. That should be it. Now I can fit the door card. The back plate of this door card should actually be changed, and it's already been screwed with small screws through the vinyl, a lot of places to keep it in place, and I will probably just do the same, but it would be, because it's hard to save now. And then just a quick clean. This is not in a brilliant condition, and it would be nice to refurbish or swap it with a better one at some point. Maybe with Porsche written right here. Ooh. Anyway, it is way better. I'm going to try to polish the paint and see if I can get some shine back into it. So I have actually just given the car a quick wash with some degreasing soap to get rid of the old wax, and then I'm gonna try to polish up the hood. And if that works, then I will polish the entire car. I'm very sorry to all the experts in polishing cars. I'm not one of those, but I'm just gonna try to do my best. Let's get going. Woohoo! Take a look at this difference. I think this is going to turn out pretty well. So just some before shots, because I'm just going to switch the camera off and polish, and then take you back. So this is now. And then. It is one day later and something happened that I did not show because I got a little bit annoyed. But the painted area reacted in the corners, just out in the corners it bubbled up. I think it reacted to the primer between the original paint and the yellow one. Remember, there is bare metal, primer, original paint, primer, the yellow, and now another primer and the yellow again. So there's a lot of paint going on in this one. I just got annoyed and sanded the reacted areas and gave it another coat of paint, and that did not react. I even helped it along the way with a bit of heat. But I ran out of paint. I only had one paint can, and I also made the paint corrections over there. So even though it's decent, there is not enough color on this area. So I can see, if you look at it right there, I can see the red primer underneath. So I will repaint this at one point before fitting the emblem. Ta-da! This is a pure Seaside Garage quick polish, and it turned out great. There's a lot of room for improvement, of course, but this is going to be my daily. It looks a lot better. I am not completely happy about the color match on that panel I painted. So I'm actually a little bit happy that it didn't turn out great, because I think I'm gonna do as many of you advised. I'm gonna go to a paint shop who can scan the paint and give me a better match. So I'm just gonna find a very nicely polished area and then get that color matched and then get some paint for that. That I think is the best thing to do. But here it is, my Porsche is MOT'd, it's running. It is now looped on the camshaft and it is somewhat polished. Yeah, the trim list up here is missing. I got it over there, but I missed the rubber bit inside of it. I don't really know if it's important, but I haven't fitted that just yet, but I will do. But what I'm going to do now is to just drive the Porsche for a bit. And then in a couple of days, I will make a proper driving video with this car when I know the quirks and features of this car and when I have gotten it under my skin, so to speak. So this is all for now. I got a lot of new patrons while making the Porsche videos. That is really nice. Thank you for that. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.